and I'm here to check out this camper van. Now this is called the Trouvaille and it's from Orange Campers, who are based in Rotherham. Now the short wheelbase is 4.96 metres. This is a 3-seater bench, it's a rib unit. Now Richard does tell me that he's working on either a folding or a telescopic one at the moment, and I think that would be a really good idea. But you can have it in any colour you want, they do quite a range of options. And we'll just leave that back. Then you've got your nice flat bed. So what you've got underneath is a porta potty, and there's a cupboard door at the front so you can access that at night time. You've got a 12-volt plug there. Down below you've got a couple of USBs, and there's a 3-pin as well for when you're on mains. It's really high, so for me my legs are just dangling, but as I say, I am only 5 foot. Flip that forwards and then you'll see that you can actually sit around this table. Got your side kitchen down here, you've got the rock and roll style bench bed system. That's essentially, you know, what this camper van's giving you. This van is fitted with a blown air heater, it's the Propex one, so that's what these two are here for. That's for controlling the heater there. And of course having an underslung tank means that you're not having to cart around big bottles of gas all the time with you, so that's really handy. You can hire this for around £135 a day. You get a 120 watt solar panel as standard. One is that there's an external shower point, and that just plugs into here. It's cold water only. Richard of Orange Campers also told me that his 2 young sons love to use this area as a playden when they get camping, which you can just imagine, can't you? Hello, I'm Geneve Brand, editor of Campervan, and I'm here today at Home Farm Touring Park in Lincolnshire, and I'm here to check out this camper van. Now this is called the Trouvaille and it's from Orange Campers, who are based in Rotherham. You can have the Trouvaille in a high top or a pop top version, and what's interesting about the Trouvaille is that Richard Tomlin of Orange Campers designed this camper van to appeal to people who like the Volkswagen Transporter camper vans with a typical layout but are looking for that little bit more space. So what's interesting about this camper van is that it's based on the Fiat Ducato and it's a short wheelbase. Now the short wheelbase is 4.96 metres. Now compare that to a short wheelbase Transporter, which is 4.89 metres, so it's 7 centimetres longer, this one, but still a similar sort length. It's still shorter than the long wheelbase Transporter, meaning that you should still be able to get it on your drive and in supermarket car parks, that kind of thing. However, where this van really comes into its own over the Volkswagen is the space inside, because the Volkswagen is around 1.90 metre wide. However, this one is 2 metres 5 centimetres wide, so that's a difference of around 15 centimetres. Inside a camper van, that's a lot of space, as you'll see when we go inside and take a look. So when you come inside, you can see you've got that classic side kitchen layout camper van in here. But where the extra space in here really comes into its own is the width that you get here, because this is a 3-seater bench. It's a rib unit and it's a 3-seater. It's got 3 seat belts and they're fitted with ISOFIX as well, so you can put child seats in here. Now, when you look in many smaller camper vans, you'll often see that these units are 2-seater ones, and that's in order to allow room for a decent sized kitchen down the side here. Don't forget, you've got all your storage cupboards and everything in here that you'll need in your kitchen. And of course, if you put a 3-seater bench in a narrower camper van, then you lose a lot of that space. So in here, by being that little bit wider, you've got room for a good sized kitchen. There's actually a decent amount of storage in here too. And you've still have a 3-seater rib bench here. Now this rib system measures 1.28 metre wide, so it's a decent width as a travel bench. But of course, come night time, this converts to a bed, and well, having a wide bench equates to having a wide bed at night time too. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. Now, before I show you how the rib bed goes up, I'm going to talk to you about the pop top in here. So the Fiat Ducato is obviously a bigger van than the Volkswagen, which those are typically around 2 metres high, so that you can get them under height restrictors on car parks. Now this one is 2 metres 35, so you're not going to be able to take this one under height restrictors. But the advantage of the higher roof is that, of course, you've got more standing room. Now at the moment the pop top's down, so you can see what the full height would be. It's actually 1.63 metre high in here, and I'm going to embarrass myself because I'm only 5 foot tall, and you'll see that when I stand up, I've got no need to put the pop top up. So as you can see, I've got a decent amount of headroom in here, and I could actually quite happily cook, use the kitchen or whatever, not really a problem. So, you know, you might have the opportunity to leave it down. What you're probably going to do though is put the pop top up as soon as you get on site. You've got a couple of straps on the sides, and all you need to do is unrelease those straps. You just pull them out, you give the pop top a gentle push, and up it goes. That's all there is to it. When you come to leave, you just reverse the process. You pull it down, put your straps back in, and away you go. So to get up to the pop top, we need a ladder, and the ladder lives around the back of the van. I'll just show you where that is. So it kind of lives in here. As you can see, it is a little bit clunky. We just lift it up a bit to take it out. And there we go. And that is just a solid ladder like that. Now, Richard does tell me that he's working on either a folding or a telescopic one at the moment, and I think that would be a really good idea. Anyway, let's show you how this works inside the van now. So the ladder just clips into the couple of holes up there that it sits in. That now, as you can see, is quite sturdy. It's got rubber feet, so once that's in position, that's nice and firm. And then that's just to access the bed now. So first of all, I'll go up and I'll pull the bed section down. That's currently up at the moment. Now, Richard does tell me that there's room up there to leave your bedding up there. So that's with the pop top down. So when you're travelling, you can leave your bedding up there, bring the pop top down, and that's fine. Upstairs, you've got a mattress. And so the bed up there is around, it's around 1.80 m long, so that's sort of standard sort of bed length, and it's 1.10 m wide. However, and you'll see in a moment when we go up there, because of the sort of plate that it sits on, there's actually a little bit more width and length to it. So the full width is more around sort of 1.30 m and 200 long. So you've got a decent sized bed up there. Most likely you're going to put a couple of children up there. There's a few more sort of bits and bobs. So there's a lollipop reading light up there, and that's got a USB on it, so you can charge your phone, etc. Windows wise, we've got a window at the front, which is just a window. You can open that to see out. And then there's two windows on the side, and they've got fly screens on them, so you can open them up for ventilation. So let's go upstairs and have a look. So as you can see, there's plenty of room for me up here in the pop top. Now, the one thing you will notice is the canvas is like really green. That's because it's colour coded with like the Trouvaille colours, but you can have it in any colour you want. They do quite a range of options, so you didn't have to have the green. This one's got a winterised canvas, so it's quite a heavy duty one, so you could use it for winter camping in theory. And you'll also see it's insulated with carpet and everything, and that's sound deadening too. So in theory, it should be quite quiet up here and also quite warm and cool at any time of year. It's the mattress, I'll be honest, is a little bit on the thin side. There's no frolly springs or anything under here, so it's just sort of a thinnish mattress. That said, it is actually quite comfortable, and I'm sure two children up here would be fine. And it's a nice light and airy space. I'm enjoying a bit of a breeze through the mesh window there. I can see the ducks. What's not to like? Okay, so now you've seen the living quarters upstairs. That's your two children sorted out. Now onto the bed downstairs. Now, as I said before, this is a rib system, a bench that converts to a bed come night time. Being the wide three-seater, it's 1.28 m wide, and it's quite long as well at 1.86 m. Now, it's really easy system to set up. So the bench is in three sections. The first section, the seat section, there's actually just a lever down the side here, and all we're going to do is pull on the lever. This section flips over forwards, and then you release the lever, and that then sits flat. Underneath here there's a bar, and then so we just pull the bar up, and that will release this second section. This then folds forwards, and all of the seat belts neatly tuck underneath, so you're left then with a flat surface. The third section works in much the same way as this front section, that there's a lever down the side, and we'll just lever that back. Then you've got your nice flat bed. If you do find it a little bit hard, you can get a mattress topper for these as well. So that's the bed set up now, and the other thing I want to show you is that at the back of the van, because I said that the back section works like the front one does, and that it's got a lever and a ratchet system, you can actually angle the back, and I'm just going to show you what I mean now. So sitting here now, if you're like me and you enjoy lolling around of an evening reading a book or having a cup of tea in bed in the morning, then this setup works really well, because of course you can have this, you know, as comfy as you like. Also in here, there's a lollipop reading light up there, and there's a USB so you can charge your phone. You'll also notice the windows in here. Now, these are not standard windows that you'd find in a panel van, you know, these ones they put in after. So these ones, we've got the window on the side and behind, and they open. They've got handles and you can open them. They're also fitted with fly screens, which is great for summer camping, keeps the mosquitoes out, etc. And they're fitted with blinds too, so you don't need curtains or anything like that in the back here. Now, to put the bed back again, back into a bench form, it's pretty much you just reverse the process. So all we're going to do is put this back flat again, and then this section just pulls back up, and then the forward section lastly folds forwards. But while we're here, I'm just going to show you the amount of storage, etc., that's under here, because there's a porta potty. You'll have noticed there's not a washroom in this van, because of course with this layout we're sticking to that sort of traditional side kitchen layout with the rock and roll bed. You don't tend to have a washroom in these sort of vans. So what you've got underneath is a porta potty, and there's a cupboard door at the front so you can access that at night time. There's also two 90 amp batteries under here as well, and you'll notice that there's some storage, and then there's some power points and things at the front, which I'll show you in a moment when we get there. So just down the bottom here then, for all your tech needs, you've got a 12-volt plug there. Down below you've got a couple of USBs, and there's a 3-pin as well for when you're on mains. And just for a little bit more modern tech in here, there's a wireless phone charging point just to the side here. That's handy when you're either travelling on the bench or if you sat in bed, etc. Safety wise, there's a little fire extinguisher down here, and in case you're wondering what the button's for, that's for the electric step outside. So if we just open those up. Now you remember that when I was sitting up in bed earlier, and this is the adjustable section. Now what that means is you can either have it flat like this, and that gives you two sections. So typically you might put your bedding up here during the day, and then you can have your camping chairs, etc. down the bottom there. Richard of Orange Campers also told me that his two young sons love to use this area as a play den when they get camping, which you can just imagine, can't you? So that's it in the position like that, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is if we want to put it up, and then you can see what that means. So again, we just pull the ratchet and that goes up, and so what that means now is you've got a lot more room, haven't you? So if you had, I don't know, paddle boards or something like that, Christmas trees from the garden centre in winter, you can put all of that in there. So it's nice to have that little bit of flexibility. And just while we're around the back here, I'll tell you about the storage too. So you've got a wardrobe essentially in this cupboard here. That's a decent sized wardrobe, and you've got 3 shelves in there. I'm guessing you're going to put your clothes, etc. in there. Interestingly, it is accessible. If you've got this section down, so you've got it in bed mode, you can still open that door, which is handy if you're in bed. There's also a little bit more storage down here. You've got a cupboard down the bottom here. Now, I thought this was really clever because what it does is it goes over the wheel arch, and so it goes quite far back. But what they've done is just make use of that otherwise dead space over the wheel arch. And there's actually a fair amount of room in there for bits and bobs, like electric hookup leads, and there's like a dustpan and brush and bits and bobs like that under there. So that gives you a nice amount of room. Of course, you've got a section here, and as you can see, we've got some camping chairs in there, and other little bits and bobs. Now, over to the other side here, you've got access to all your fuse boxes, etc. in there. So if you needed to change a fuse, that's really accessible, which is good. And just next to that, again, there's another 3-point plug, and there's a 12V socket as well. So you've got plenty of power in the back here for any gadgets you might have when you're away camping too. Okay, so now we've seen all the sleeping quarters, let's look at the living quarters. And so you've got the 2 cab seats here, and they both do swivel. They're both on a swivel basis, so there's literally a handle at the front, and they just swivel round. It's quite easy. Now this van has an automatic handbrake, so you don't have to worry about that either. There's not a handbrake here to get in the way. You just turn them round, and there you have your 2 seats. Now obviously we've got the 3-seater at the back, so if you're a travelling family, this van is often used as a hire van, and so as a family van, you know, you could have your 3 children here and 2 adults. There is actually room for 5. So that's the chairs set up. They're actually really comfortable. You've got an armrest, as you can see. The only thing well, you know, I'm only little anyway, but a thing here for me is that because you've got the cabs already raised and then you're on the swivel basis, the seats are really high. So for me, my legs are just dangling. But as I say, I am only 5 foot. So that's the chairs set up now. Now come meal times, there is a table. The table is clipped onto the sidewall at the back of the van, and to get that out you just unclip it and it lifts forward. Now you'll notice that in here there's a rail on the front, there's also a rail there, so the table can essentially be used in 2 positions, and I'm going to show you how that's done. So here's the table, there's a little clip down the side, there's one at the back too. Unclip that and your table simply pops out of its stand. You'll see there's just the one leg on here. It's held in place with a strap, so I'm just going to undo that. Pull that out. There's a button too. Where did I find that button? There we go. Then, with the leg up, we simply just manoeuvre it into position. You'll notice there's a pair of clips on the front, and they just clip onto the front of the rail like that. The leg just sort of straightens itself out, so as you can see, that's completely wobble free, that's nice and steady. Now what you are probably wondering is how anyone sitting on this back bench is going to reach the table. Well, let's come back to that rib bench that's got that lever down the side, and all we're going to do is flip that forward, and then you'll see that you can actually sit around this table. That's nice and stable now. You can see that's flat, so if you're here as a family, you've got your children for example, well, you can all easily sit around here, can't you? So that's nice. And then you've got that second position, and that's how you would use the table when you're sitting on this as a bench. Maybe you're just working or something, and I'll show you how that's done now too. So let's just put this back up again. So obviously, to put the table into the second position, we just put that bench back down again, and then you've got the second rail on there that clips onto there. Again, you've got a nice sturdy table there, so that's great for, you know, meal times or whatever else. Now, to come on to the kitchen, as I said at the beginning, with this kind of van, you know, something that you've got here is the extra width we were talking about. Now, what Richard from Orange Campers was trying to achieve here was going for the kind of design of, you know, the Volkswagen style camper vans, where you've got your side kitchen down here, you've got the rock and roll style bench bed system. That's essentially, you know, what this camper van's giving you. But because you've got the extra width here, what it means is you've still got room for a decent sized kitchen. And this van's got everything in it that you know you'd expect to find in this kind of camper van. So up top you've got a Dometic combined sink and hob unit there. They're two separate glass lids, and you've got two burners just there, and then you've got a cold tap here. Now just behind you've got another one of those opening windows, which again is fitted with fly screens and blinds, and I'm told that this sort of a teal colour, this is a splashback, it's a vinyl splashback, so you can wipe that down, and you can get it in a range of colours, so you can pick and choose. You've got a decent amount of workspace here. Now down below we've got a 90 litre fridge freezer here. Now in a Volkswagen camper they're typically around sort of 50-60 litres, so you are going to notice a difference with a 90 litre one there. Above that here you've got a really deep cutlery drawer with cutlery in it, and then to the side you've got a couple of big decent cupboards there too, which are for your pots and pans and things, and I'm told that in the cupboard at the top you could have an optional microwave fitted there if you prefer. A little bit more storage in here. In addition to that wardrobe we saw at the back, you've also got another big cupboard here, and there's another little one behind the tambour door there. Now what's good about this space, because the Ducato van is so much wider at the top, you've got quite a square van here, it allows for this big unit here, which I'm told is at plate depth, and that means that you can get your plates and plenty of other bits and bobs in there, so that's a really handy space. So also in the kitchen you've got here all of your electrical bits and bobs. So you've got the control panel at the top here, and that is for turning off your lights on and off, and it's also for things like the fridge and the tap, etc. Now this van is fitted with a blown air heater, the Propex one, so that's what these two are here for. That's for controlling the heater there, and then down below you've got a couple of switches there for the lights, and then you've got a 3-pin plug there as well for your toaster or something like that when you're on hookup. Now, when I was inside, I mentioned that there's a Propex blown air heater in there, and what that means is it's gas powered instead of diesel powered, and so underneath here you've got an underslung 25 litre Lpg tank. So the gas tank not only fuels the Propex heater inside, it also does the 2-burner hob that's in there, and of course having an underslung tank means that you're not having to cart around big bottles of gas all the time with you, so that's really handy. Now, because this camper van is designed for family adventures and it's also a hire van, you can hire this for around £135 a day. When Richard designed it, he wanted to offer a camper van that really included most things, so you're not having to sort of, you know, add lots of optional extras afterwards. So apart from the Lpg tank, which comes as standard, you've also got on the roof there's a solar panel up there. Now you get a 120 watt solar panel as standard. You've also got here the Fiamma wind out awning. Of course, the advantage with these is you've got an awning rail across the front too, so if you wanted to carry a bigger awning, that will attach on there as well. And you'll notice just beneath there that you've also got an LED light, so of course when you've got your awning up you can see in the evening. Now you get most things as standard. Now there's a bunch of optional extras on here, not many. One is that there's an external shower point, and that just plugs into here. It's cold water only, but there's a hose with a shower head You plug that in there. That's just really handy for, you know, hosing off sandy dogs or children or whatever. Other things that you can see that are optional on here is the electric step. That's an optional extra. And also in the cab, you get Remus blinds in the cab, and they're an optional extra on this van too. There's also a business pack on the Fiat Ducato itself, but we'll talk about that later when we get onto the base vehicle. So just to come to the other side of the van, there's yet more amenities around here. So you have got underslung freshwater and grey waste tanks. The access point for the water is here, and the freshwater tank takes 45 litres, and the grey waste one is 35 litres. And you'll see down below there's two clearly marked taps as well for those. And also out here where you've got the electric hookup point, as you can see we're using that today. So that just plugs into here, and that of course powers your electrics and everything like that when you're pitched up like this. So this is the latest Series 8 Fiat Ducato, and I have to say, me personally, I have noticed a difference with this. The old Fiat Ducatos always sort of sounded very sort of loud. They were very noisy, very clunky, very much driving a diesel, and you felt like you were driving a big diesel van. I have to say this one, the engine is much quieter, especially when you're out on the road and you can get into, this is a 6-speed, once you're down into 6, out on the motorway, yeah, it does feel really smooth and it's much quieter, so I have to say I like it. This one, as I mentioned before, is a business edition, which does cost you an extra £1,500, but it does mean you get a few bits of tech. You've got this 10-inch screen here that's got, you know, everything on there that you'd want. You can pair your phone, it does music, it's got reversing camera, you can have a sat-nav, all of those things. It's also got an automatic handbrake, which is nice for the chairs, and you've got one of those fancy keys that as long as you've got it in your pocket, you don't need to actually use the key. So here you've just got a button, and you just press the button to start it, which is actually really cool. But yeah, all in, I think, yeah, it's a nice little van. So the moment of truth, how much is it? Well, I'm going to start by saying that this particular van is not for sale because it's a demonstrator, it's also a hire van, and it's also even Richard's own van, his family van. In fact, when I picked it up the other day, they'd literally just got back from 10 days away in Cornwall in it. So, you know, it's a bit of an everything van. As I say, you could hire it if you wanted to, but if you wanted to buy it in this particular specification, this one is just over 60,000. It's 60,629, I believe. But the price from is 56,999, so that's £1 shy of 57,000. The difference being that this one's got those few optional extras I mentioned. Things like the business pack on the Fiat Ducato is 1,500 alone for a start, so you've got those extra bits there. And of course, well, what do we think of it? Well, at the beginning I said that Richard had set out to create this van that was kind of, you know, offered the vibe that you get in the Volkswagen type camper van, but with that little bit more extra space in there. And I think on that front, you know, it really does deliver. The nice thing about this Ducato van is the length. You know, it will still fit in your drive at home and in standard parking bays at the supermarket. And of course you've got those 5 travel seats. So if you're looking for a van that you can have as your daily driver, you've got 5 belted seats. Well, it's practical on a number of levels. So I think in that sense it really does deliver. There are, however, of course, you know, with any van, there's always going to be a few things we'll pick out. And I have to say I agree with Richard that the ladder up to the pop top, for example, would benefit from being either folding or telescopic. It's a little bit big and clunky to fit in the back of the van, and that modification would help a little bit, I think. And continue with the pop top as well. It was comfortable, but I did feel that the mattress is a little bit on the thin side, and perhaps if it had, you know, the Frolly springs underneath or something just to give that extra bit of cushioning, then that would help too. And you know, with any camper van there's always going to be compromises. For me, you saw me sitting on those cab seats at the front dangling my legs. You know, that wouldn't be the most comfortable for me, so there's always going to be little bits and bobs like that. But generally speaking, I thought it was a really nice van. It's very practical, as I say. The biggest question mark at the moment, I would say, probably is the base vehicle itself, because we have actually heard rumours that Fiat are going to discontinue this short wheelbase in the UK. And that means that we're not actually going to see this van. Now, chatting to Richard about it and what his plans are, well, he is going to have a go at building this on the Ford Transit Custom, so that's going to be a small size van. And then he's also going to be doing this on the medium wheelbase Fiat Ducato, which is about a foot longer, so it's not a huge van, but it is going to be that little bit longer than this one here is. So we're really interested to see what they come back with next, I think.